All right, so clearly we have a lot to talk about. The market obviously worked out. The drop happened, but after hours, Microsoft and Google reported earnings. So we're going to take a look at all of that. We're going to take a look at how they responded with earnings and what the next steps are for the market. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with the video. All right, number one, Google reported very good earnings. They beat on revenue, and the estimated was $1.17. The estimated was $1.08 versus an actual of $1.17. They beat on Google ad revenue as well as on YouTube ad revenue. And then Microsoft was a huge winner. Microsoft is up almost 10% in the after hours. It had a 223 earnings per share estimate, and it was actually 2.45 instead. And they beat revenue by a landslide as well. So Microsoft and Google both did really, really well in terms of earnings. And that is why, if we take a look at the NASDAQ is up almost $4 in the after hours because Microsoft and Google did so well. So let's just take a look at what the next steps are. Let's take a look at the SPY. All right, first things first, we were holding on to calls for 2 weeks out overnight. At the open, obviously we gapped down, and those were down 10% at the open, so we closed those. Throughout the day, I took almost, I think, 16 trades, and of those 16 trades, 3 of them didn't work. So the rest of them all worked. I shared all of them with you guys. But for everyone that doesn't have access very, very soon, just stay tuned with everything. There's going to be, I'm going to share all of my trades basically with you guys in a very easy way. So just wait. All right. But regardless of what direction the market goes, regardless of, the overall trajectory and everything, intraday trading is something that obviously works out regardless of how the landscape of the market is. So, I was swinging, the swing didn't work, but we made up for it during the day. So, yeah. So with that being said, let's just take a look at what this SPY. So obviously, immediately we can see that we closed outside of this falling wedge, right? I've been talking about this falling wedge for quite some time. And even in yesterday's video, this entire time I was talking about just getting puts for long term. Just get puts for long term. It would be the simplest, safest trade that you could make. Is just get puts for long term. And we dropped down all the way to 406, and then based off of the earnings, we bounced up. So currently right now the SPY is going to be at 408, right? We don't know how high it's going to go, or we don't know if it's going to sustain itself in the after hours. We don't know anything just yet about that. But if the tech stocks can hold themselves up, then the SPY is going to hold 407.50, right? So what I'm essentially waiting to see is if we get these bounces to 408, 409, are these going to be opportunities to reshort? Or are we going to be able to reclaim 409? The main level that I want to see reclaimed is 409 to 409.50. If we can touch above that level, and then even if we come back intraday tomorrow and dip a little from 409.50, we dip to 408, and then we continue up, that would be something that's bullish, right? But that 409 level is going to be major level of resistance, 409, 409.50. So if that cannot break to the upside, all this is going to be a short squeeze, short covering. Literally, this is another very major level of support right here. I can't make a straight line. This right here, we're literally at another major level of support. So we just need to see because the momentum right now is falling, right? But then with earnings that just happened with these tech stocks, it's really good earnings, and that might give enough room for us to get a bounce. So it depends on how we. So all of this truly just depends on how we open and how high or how low we get. Okay, so once again, my thought process is 409 is resistance. If we break above 409 and on the pullback we hold above 408, even if we hold above 407.50, both of those levels are going to be good levels of support. And then from there, bulls are going to have to essentially make a decision. If bulls can't hold it above that level, then it's going to end up making new lows, because this entire move upwards was based off of good earnings. If those good earnings that we had with Microsoft and Google cannot sustain a continued move to the upside, then intraday we can end up making new lows, even though we had a gap up here, because the momentum is still bearish until proven otherwise. We had good earnings. We need to see if those earnings can sustain themselves bullishly, and if essentially we need to see if dips start getting bought tomorrow. If dips can start getting bought, then that's essentially going to help the bulls and the bullish case. Another thing is just look at how the market responds at levels of resistance and at levels of support tomorrow. I'm going to be live and I'm going to be explaining all of that stuff to you guys. So if you guys are interested, make sure to tune into the live. But I'm going to be explaining all of this stuff. And just during the day, right, tomorrow, you draw out your support and resistance levels and see how the market responds at those levels. If automatically once we touch a level of resistance, do we just automatically just like fail at that level of resistance? And then, what happens once we get to a level of support? Do we bounce automatically clearly off that level? Or do we break above levels of resistance and comfortably, like, do the buyers seem like they're here? Do the sellers seem like they, does the market feel heavy? Does the market feel light? Does it feel like it's churning through resistance levels like butter, right? So just keep that in mind tomorrow to see how strong essentially or weak the market is. But my levels for tomorrow that I want to see broken to the upside for a continued move to the upside is going to be 409.50. And the higher the better, obviously, but 409.50 is going to be definitely the level that we need to see break above. All right, and from there, then 410 and then 410, then 410 and 412 are the next levels of resistance. But if we can reclaim 409.50, then this would be very, very devastating. Imagine how many people went short. This would be very, very devastating. The amount of people that went short deliberately because of this setup, right? Clearly, it looked very, very bearish, right? We broke out of the falling wedge. Technically, it's a good time to go short, but they rarely ever make it that easy. And they clearly right now we can see that they're not rewarding late bears. They waited to paint they painted a very, very bearish picture. They sold the market off into earnings, and then earnings blew the roof off the market. The Nasdaq is up huge, and the market is bouncing very sharply. So clearly this is one instance where they did not reward bears at the moment, as before they didn't reward bulls. So they're essentially forcing you to position yourself prior to the move happening. So right now, had you gone long, I went long at around 406.50. I ended up closing all of my longs before the close. So, I mean, got about like $1, but this was towards the end of the day, but I wasn't holding anything overnight. And yeah, now we just need to see if tomorrow morning, I want to see how strong the market is. If the dips get bought, if we can open flat, if we open flat essentially, and we're bouncing off of levels of support very comfortably and clearly, then we could play short for the first half hour, and then from there, then hopefully we get a push up to 409 to 409.50, and then from there we can start to make like a decision in terms of resistance, and then we could probably go short and play the short down to 408. That would be, on paper, that would be the best situation. So I hope that makes sense. There's not really much else to talk about. Obviously the VIX shot up, right? There's no point of talking about the VIX. The IWM, the NASDAQ, the SPY, they're all going to be up because of these earnings. and currently they're all red, right? So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun day tomorrow. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are, because you know, everyone, like, they're like, you guys are really, really intelligent. Like, you guys are really, really good traders as well. So I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are, and that's the only way, like, we could all learn from each other and we can communicate and talk in the comments. And I always read all the comments, so I'm very interested in seeing your thoughts on all this as well. That's my thought process. I really think we should see 409, 409.50 intraday, and then a pullback to 408. From there, from 407.50 to 408, that's when bulls are going to have to make a stand to see if we continue up with momentum. Otherwise, it can fall back down to 406, and then from 406, it can look bad, because then we can end up making a newer low. So that's my thought process. I hope it made sense. And yeah, let's see how that goes. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. But if you guys enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Thank you.